look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well, not for a guy of his caliber.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
What's up and welcome back to Barroom Blackhawk Talk, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinnie Parisi, and this is my brother, Joey Parisi. And Joseph, are you excited for today's show?
I'm very excited for today's show, and that hat just made me realize, what am I doing not wearing mine?
Yeah, you're a clown. You're rocking your Bauer hockey hat, which it's a cool hat, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, but like I totally forgot that hat existed, and I should be wearing credit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked pre-show and you still didn't think to put it on, but I don't even know. Did I even say the intro right? For those who are asking, this is episode number 19. So just wanted to make sure I cleared that up. We have a very special guest. You like music?
I love music.
Yeah, I know you do. One of our all-time favorite bands, since I was in high school, I've been a fan of these guys for a very long time. The Devil Wears Prada. I recently found out that their singer is a very big hockey fan. And of course, we're hockey guys. We want to talk hockey with everyone and help grow the sport. So I would like to welcome on the lead vocalist of The Devil Wears Prada, Mike Hranica. Mike, very nice to meet you.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm stoked. I'm always down to talk hockey to the ends of the earth. So I'm glad you guys reached out, and yeah, we can hash out some puck.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start off. You're like the singer of this big band that, you know, travels and does all this cool stuff. But what made you become a fan of hockey?
Oh, I wouldn't even know where to start. I guess my old man. I'm from Pittsburgh. My family's all from Pittsburgh, and some of my earliest memories was watching hockey. So it's kind of weird looking back. I don't know why my dad wasn't more attracted to like baseball, but I mean, I was born '88. Obviously, the Lemieux and Yager coming into our back-to-back cups and everything as a kid. So there was just, my old man loved it. And ever since then, I've just always loved hockey. And through my youth and getting more involved with music, I kind of phased out a little bit, but then got back more in really around following the lockout and the Pens grabbing Sid. And started playing again a number of years ago. I play anywhere from 3 to 6 times a week, and I can't explain enough how much I love hockey.
That's awesome. So yeah, growing up in Pittsburgh, you said I'm assuming you're a Penguins fan, but do you have like a favorite team or even a favorite player, like old or current?
Yeah, so unfortunately moved out of Pittsburgh, or my family moved out of Pittsburgh when I was a kid, so I didn't completely get to grow up as indulged in the Pens culture as I would like. But I mostly grew up around Dayton, Ohio, which is where my band was formed. And I was around, we went to Blue Jackets game as a kid. I played in junior high, and then I was too small, or at least I thought I was too small to continue playing into my high school years and whatnot. So I saw the early rumblings with the Blue Jackets, and now, getting older, I've seen games all over the country and whatnot, which is great. But big Pens fan.
Very cool. So since your time watching hockey, I'm sure like it was kind of a niche sport for a while there. And now it's really kind of taken off, and it's going to be on ESPN, and people are just loving hockey. And guys like me and Joey are out here trying to make sure everyone enjoys the game. Like, because football and basketball and baseball, they take the main stage. We want to help it grow. So you have a platform with your band and all that. Can you talk about how you would like to see hockey like viewed in terms of the scope of sports in general?
Oh, that's an interesting question. That's a deep question, I think. I think there's a lot going around the game, and I think I think that the NHL isn't baseball. I think that that hockey is doing a good job getting more people involved, and I think hockey's always been a really great sport in terms of both men and women playing the game, or any identifiable gender. But I think everything with George Floyd obviously lit a huge fire under major sports in terms of how the NFL handled Kaepernick so terribly, and BLM generally. And I wish we were coming to terms with these things many years ago. But I'm happy that hockey is using its voice, and that hockey is for everyone is coming a long way and growing well with the NHL. During the pandemic, one of my dear friends, who's also from Pittsburgh, and he's actually the Dev Wears Prada's go-to photographer. One of my very best friends, but him and I started a project called Hacksaw Hockey to create smart hockey apparel for fans and players of the game. And while we're young, we've already teamed up with Black Girl Hockey Club, which is something I'm very proud of. Renee is already doing such amazing things, and amplifying voices that need to be heard to grow the game. So, I think in objective terms, the game is just the best in terms of the physicality, the culture, the etiquette, the speed. And it's been a lot of white guys for a long time, and it's time to open it up more. I think it's very much a more is the merrier type mentality. It's not some elitist sort of hobby or prospect for only the select few to enjoy. It's unfortunately more expensive than a lot of games, but I think there's a lot of people using their voices and their well-being to get everyone skating, including the guys in the show. So it's awesome. I think that everyone is trying to come together and elevate something that, like you said, has kind of been in the background of the major sports here in the States.
That's great, Mike. And I actually did notice your shirt. Tell me a little bit more about the hacksaw hockey, and like, can you buy that stuff, and where's that all at?
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry to just be pumping my tires here, but
Oh no, do it.
this self gratification. Yeah, we're at hacksawhockey.com. We've rolled out a few products. Probably maybe like 24 bits of goods. We released some sleeveless shirts recently, and some lightweight summer shorts. Bunch of hats. We have a batch of Adidas unis that are awesome. Always stoked to wear mine for any shinny or pickup hockey. But yeah, hacksawhockey.com. We're very excited to get things going further. Working on the fall drop right now, and it's just super small. Like, it's my buddy Anthony and I. He's everything photography. I work fulfillment, just shipping orders and everything. Work on logistics, work on the back end, and then our silent partner, Luke Sedzi, he's in Cincinnati, Ohio, doing everything design wise. So yeah, we're very excited to get off the ground. I've always had. It really comes back to like the early days of the Dev Wears Prada, where you get like this like childlike vigor and energy and excitement whenever you order some t-shirts and you're holding it in your hand, or you see people, fans of the band, at the merch table, grabbing this physical product. I've always had like this like giddiness about that. So with that, I've done a number of different projects outside of just playing music over the years, and Hacksaw is the newest endeavor, and we're excited to see where it goes. We're hopefully teaming up with other great initiatives as far as it's hard. It's really hard. It turns out, to top BGHC and doing our Black Girl Hockey Club collaboration. But yeah, it's been fun. It's obviously, I've not gone about my occupation playing live music over the course of the last 15, 16 months, whatever it's been. earning a living. So it's been cool. It's been just making ends meet, not being able to play music, and Hacksaw is definitely not earning me any money. It's a passion project, but it's another way to get involved and to use my voice and to really create product that I haven't seen. As far as there's a lot of cool stuff happening around hockey and different brands doing different like kind of gimmicks and whatnot. But I wanted something kind of between like the super serious stuff that you would buy at like NHL.com versus like the really goofy like chicklet stuff too. Um, so yeah, that's been something we've been grinding at in my world outside of playing live music.
That's awesome. Those Adidas jerseys really caught my eye. I'm definitely going to be checking that out after
Yeah.
this. But I want to ask you, like, when you were traveling and you traveled all over the country, doing tours and stuff, is there like a favorite arena that you've been able to visit and watch a hockey game, or what are some of the cool arenas you've been able to see?
I think one of the it was the end of 2019, so it was just around the time, some of the last tours we did before the world got shut down. But our first show of our tour, our newest record was called The Act. We released an EP a few months ago too, but when we were doing our tour for The Act, our rehearsals were in St. Louis. Our lighting designer, his name's Quinn. He's also a Penguins fan. He lived in Seattle for the last number of years, so he's really excited about everything cracking to be getting off the ground. But we were rehearsing, and even though the Blues were just off their cup, it was a Canucks Blues game, and we had like great tickets for like $60 each or something. And I was so impressed with the Enterprise Center. I've gotten to be some good buddies with Lindenwood alumni, and I got to skate with those guys, being D2 men's hockey when they were in college. And everything in St. Louis, like you can't say enough. And you hear a lot about their alumni program, and like obviously like the Kachucks and whatnot, like all staying around St. Louis. Like St. Louis is becoming a real deal hockey market, and the renovations they did, and I don't remember if it was like 2017 to that barn or not what it was, but it was incredible. It was so tasteful, and it was a great place to see a game. And we got great tickets, and it ended up, I think it went to shootout. It was like a super back and forth game between the Blues and Nucks, but that was an exciting one. I remember we were doing a record in Long Island, and there was it was postseason, and it was the Isles Pens. Went to a game in Brooklyn, and that was like the opposite. Like, not to just shit on the Isles because everyone does so much as garbage fans, but it's great that they're getting out of Brooklyn, because I don't know how you can build a brand new rink, or obviously it was intended for the Nets, but like that was a bad place to see a hockey game. So I've seen a little bit of both. I got into it with some Kings fans a couple years ago when I was at the Kings Pens game on tour. I've actually never seen a game north of the border, which really sucks. I got to play some hockey in Toronto, which was silly, but meant the world to me. But yeah, I look forward to getting back at it, getting to see more games while out on tour on off days. I've brought all the boys to Pens games when we have off days in Pittsburgh and whatnot. But yeah, it's the best. It's a great vehicle to be able to see games all over the United States, to be on tour and then just say like, oh, we got an off day, and we're 10 miles from so and so, like let's go to that game or something. So I try to take advantage of it. And I do the same, just being a general sports fan. Like nothing comes close to hockey, but I've done the same with like going to I remember a Trailblazers game in Portland, and baseball games whenever we can. So yeah, it's great being able to use music to satisfy my total jock side.
For sure. We're based in Chicago, so I'm wondering, have you ever been to the United Center, gotten to check out a Blackhawks game? Because those are wild.
Yeah, so we can get into that. I lived in Chicago for almost 9 years. I was in Logan Square for just under 9 years. I live in Milwaukee now. I'm between places right now here in Milwaukee, but I also operate a coffee business in Chicago. So I'm down there most frequently. I've probably seen maybe like 4, 5 Hawks games. I remember Jeremy, our guitar player, and the founding member of the band, Jeremy and me, he was Chicago for a long time too. I know we did a Wild game for his birthday one time. I remember my dad came into town one time. I forgot who I saw the Hawks play. I remember seeing the Jackets just get demolished by the Hawks. One of my first Hawks games. I remember Big Buff scored like 40 seconds in, just like top of the dots, just screaming down. But yeah, I've seen, and never seen the Pens win. I've never seen the Pens win, but I've seen the Pens every time they come through the UC. I was at the outdoor game there at Soldier Field.
So were we.
Like, oh yeah. So it's like 3 feet of snow. I was with Hawks fans, and the Hawks just dummied us. I think that was like 6-2, 6-1 or something.
Yeah,
but
it was bad.
yeah, we didn't play well. But one of my favorite memories from that game was going through the tunnel, leaving Soldier Field to get back into the city beneath Lakeshore Drive. I remember, because there was a fair amount of Pens games at that game. It was Hawks fans and Pens games in unison chanting "Detroit sucks" together. So we were the Hawks fans and the Pens fans could come over, come in unison over Wings loathing and hatred. But I've seen my fair share of Hawks games and my fair share of just dirty Blackhawks fans that don't know what they're talking about. But I still got them. I still got a lot of Wings fans in my life too. But there's a shared level of respect and love of the game there.
Absolutely. If you love hockey, you love hockey. It's been a crazy offseason so far. There's been trades and draft picks in Seattle, as you mentioned. You enjoying all the stuff going on right now?
Yeah, except the fucking Penguins not putting anyone else in net. Our season ended the way it did. We came in screaming. Karts was like such a big pickup. Zucks was doing great. The Pens offense was just like, it was a team that, like, as a guy that loves speed and loves Penguins hockey, that it's grown into under Sidney Crosby and with Gino, and a very speed and offensive forward team. We were just firing all cylinders, and Jars just was what it was. And it was, the glove hand was the glove hand. And I couldn't stand hearing about it. I couldn't stand every game, Pierre's going on, oh, it's another one glove side, bar down, or like high glove.
Hard.
And I don't know what happened, because I really do love Tristan. I love him as a starter going through the season, but he really just broke down there in the postseason. And I think that especially under Hexie now, I thought Hexie would be doing a lot to try to get something going more so in net. I like the DeSmith signing. DeSmith was hurt. Casey was hurt. So, Tristan stuck in net, even though he was incompetent, I think is even a polite way of saying it. I still love Tristan, but the thing that's just really got at me is the fact that we still haven't really done something to get Flower back. Flower wants to be in Pittsburgh. Flower didn't want to leave Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh didn't want to give up Flower. I am very excited to see what he can do in Chicago, at least this season. I think there is still years there for sure coming off the Vezina, but for me, like, I've been enamored. I think it's crazy, Grubauer going to Seattle, especially with, I thought that Drieger could start fine coming from the Cats, but there's a million things to talk about. I was just catching up on the Dougie Hamilton numbers. I was curious to, when you hit me up, exactly how you feel about where the Devils are going. I see this Krejci jersey back there, and I'm Czech. I come from my family's Czech. I've got a soft spot for Czech players across the board. Knowing that David's going back to play back in the Czech Republic is huge. And Joey, you asked earlier about the favorite players growing up. My big one was Marty Straka. Marty Straka with the Pens. He was 5'8", Czech guy. Just meant everything to me. He's actually in Czech development program, I think the national program now. But I still to this day I wear 47 because I subtracted 82, which was Marty Straka, and 35, which was Tommy Brasso, because I loved playing net and skating out as a kid. So yeah, big fan of the Czech players, and I had to mention that seeing the Krejci jersey back here. But how do you feel about Dougie Hamilton? Like, I'm rambling here, boys.
Oh no, we love hearing it. I mean, Dougie Hamilton, fourth for the Norris Trophy, has really good underlying advanced statistics. The offense was there. The Devils have needed a number one defenseman ever since PK Subban didn't really work out. And I still love Subban as like a third pair guy. We'll see what happens with him after this season. But adding, Ty Smith to the mix, having him, I really like Graves from Colorado. I did not think they were going to give him up. I actually thought they were going to protect him. And then they traded him to the Devils, and I was like, holy crap, this defense all of a sudden, Chicago and New Jersey both kind of like redid their entire defense over the span of a year and a half. And I'm really excited because Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes, I think the world of both of them. And Jack's a little more offensive and Nico's got more of like a two-way game. But I mean, I'm looking forward to the season in terms of the Devils. When they play teams like Pittsburgh and Washington and Boston, I'm going to be looking to see how the centers and the defense kind of resist the other team's best players, because obviously when you play Pittsburgh, you got Crosby and Malkin, and then the Bruins are going to have Bergeron and Pasternak and all them. So speaking of great Czech players, but yeah, I'm all in on what the Devils are doing right now.
I was going to ask if you had a soft spot for David Pasternak here.
I do. huge soft spot for Pasta, especially with the Barbie girl thing. Like Tahoe, like I couldn't get over it. Just legend, and no one has a bad thing to say about that dude. That dude just seems like he wakes up like with a smile and like just like rainbows all day. So I definitely have a soft spot for Pasta. My girlfriend's right here. She's a Bruins fan. Was definitely even pulling for the Bees over the filthy Islanders this postseason. But yeah, I mean, even like obviously, I hate the Flyers more than anything being a Pens guy, but there are even still times where like I have to respect Voracek because I just can't. I just love Czech players so much. And yeah, I could go on though, but yeah, I would be really excited as a Devils fan. I think that I would be quick to try to get rid of that $9 million PK hit sooner and later. Obviously, the end of the season, you can kind of clean your hands of him as he hasn't really panned out at all since his time with the Habs. I think that's a whole nother conversation, but yeah, I think the Wings what are you going to say poorly about Stevie Y? But I think that the Wings are going to be coming back within the next 3 seasons and being that back to that team that everyone absolutely despises. It's an exciting time, right? I'm bummed, man. I hated leaving McCann unprotected. He was a little inconsistent in terms of his play with his time in Pittsburgh. I thought I do love keeping Jeff Carter. I was stoked when he came in, and then he just started lighting it up. So I think he's a great piece for the Pens. We lost Cody Ceci too. I thought that was a bad hit. He was another surprise for me as far as really picking things up on our back end and being a hard-nosed guy. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly an exciting time. I miss hockey so much, and I'm excited to see Luke Hughes coming in too. I mean, those 3 boys are obviously such an exciting story for anyone that loves the game.
It's crazy, isn't it? With the 3 Hughes brothers all being top 10 picks, 2 of them to the same team.
It's insane. First time ever being, first rounders. I didn't know that till I heard the stat, but what's the story with Luke? Is he skating down for a little bit, or is he going to be starting with the big dogs? Because he's a D-man as well, right?
He's on defense. He's a little different than Quinn. Quinn is more of an offensive, like power play, like have 70 points as a ceiling for a defenseman, which is really high, obviously, in these times. Luke is he kind of reminds me of like a more slimmer Drew Doughty. I'm not saying he's going to be like a full-time Hall of Famer like Drew Doughty is. That's obviously like the highest of high compliments, but more of a two-way kind of guy where he might give up some points in order to be better in his own end, but make that great first pass. He's going to play this upcoming season at Michigan, so he'll be a Wolverine for a season. kind of exactly the route Quinn took, even though they're a little bit different type players.
Jesus, the Michigan program is obscene.
They're
It's
going to be like
crazy.
an NHL team almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Owen Power and Luke Hughes and Matt Beniers and Kent Johnson, who the Blue Jackets took. So
Yeah, it's I need to get out to Madison. Obviously, Badger hockey is renowned
yeah,
uh, for so long anyway, but everywhere up here through the postseason, everyone was a Caulfield fan. Like, no one's a Habs fan in Wisconsin, but I
no,
was seeing Caulfield jerseys just because that kid is so special.
yep,
I have one of my men's league teams, one of the hotter young kids that skates. He played against Cole like growing up, and he's like, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't do anything to the Caulfield boys, and their dad, I guess, was kind of a legend around Wisconsin too. So yeah, we'll see what Badger hockey's got going. Obviously, the Wolverines are just going to be silly. Um, but
yeah.
yeah, so what brought you guys to Chicago?
Oh, we live here. We became fans of the Devils and Bruins basically because we're weirdos.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So, our whole family, they're all Hawks fans. The main point of this show is it's a Chicago-based show, so we do cover the Blackhawks a lot, and it's one of the teams that we try to be the most knowledgeable on, and we go to plenty of games, but my heart lies with the Devils. But, I root for the Hawks from time to time. I'm very excited to see Fleury play for them if he had to play for someone other than Pittsburgh or Vegas.
I know that Seth Jones is a lot like I'm definitely not the utmost most educated like analytics guy, and I
Mhm.
know that I know the conversations about Seth Jones in those regards, but man, like first of all, it's absolutely insane how Blue Jackets can't create, like that landmark player type guy or character or hold on to someone.
Mhm.
But I think the world of Seth Jones. We'll see how it pans out in Chicago. Again, being around the Blackhawks, I have more Blackhawks buddies than I have Pens buddies. I think Duncan Keith should have hung him up a long time ago. I think he's going to bring something positive to the Oilers, but
Yeah.
watching Hawks games the past 3 seasons as they're kind of on a decline, I feel like every goal against, I'm like, there's dunks with this like fucking laces tied together.
Yeah. He didn't
Not
fit
to
the
be so
system.
terribly disrespectful to, a guy with 3 rings, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I'd be, as a Hawks fan, I'd be really excited about Seth Jones. Um, I would be. Oh my! I chirp all my Hawks buddies as far as how the hell does Stan Bowman have a job for this long?
Yeah,
Uh,
he's
uh,
been something for a while.
yeah, and I also just I thought Jeremy Colleton has deserved this chance. I
Mhm.
think that Bowman just I think he shit on everyone with what happened with Q. I
Yep.
think that Q, leaving before Bowman was a huge mistake. I'm excited to see, what the Cats have done, obviously, except Bobrovsky, but Marchessault and those guys down there. I think that's another really exciting. Obviously, I think it would have been really exciting to see the Panthers beat the Bolts. Um,
They're gonna be good this upcoming season. They're gonna be
yeah,
really good.
I mean, I think, and I hated everyone shitting all over the Pen, saying like, "Oh, look, you gave up Hornquist," and I was like, Horny needed a change of pace. I don't think that it was bad blood between Horny or the Pens. It was just
Mhm.
something that had to happen, and I don't think at all it's anything like we're. It's going to be like vindictive, like when Horny steps back into PBG paints. Like
Yeah.
the dude is highly revered, and he's going to come back to what's going to be an awesome montage and everything for the guys. So I think that's another exciting program too. But in terms of Hawks talk, um, I don't know. I could go on. I've got a buddy that works within the system, and he gives me some insider info that's exciting. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do. I think that keeping Cat around has been awesome, Brinksy, and congrats to
Yep.
that dude. I saw he just got married.
Oh yeah.
Um, um,
Yeah, he's a really good player.
I think Stromer's underappreciated too. I think Dylan
He is,
Strome's a hot kid.
and they might trade him. That's a
Right, and
that's
that's
a
and that's what
possibility.
I always hear from my Hawks buddies. Oh, he's a bum. He's a bum. I'm like, geez, like I also love. I always try my Blackhawks buddies as far as seeing that how they handled Teravainen. I love Finns too, but then obviously Panarin is a hot issue with any Blackhawks fan,
Yep,
um,
as it should be.
as it should be, right? And I guess the same with the Blue Jackets. Like that's my sister lives in Columbus, and I was down there for seeing my nephew. One of my he's like 2 years old, and I went. There was a Pens game too, Pens Jackets, and I about got into it with a fucking Blue Jackets fan behind me. So I need to cool the temperature, not be such a dickhead at these games. But yeah, all exciting stuff for sure.
Yeah, so I want to ask you a little bit about Seattle. It's unrealistic to say, they're going to pull a Vegas and go to the Stanley Cup final in their first year, but do you see them like at least making a push for the playoffs and kind of being competitive this year?
The first thing that I'm just drawn to is the fact that it kills me that we also gave up Turbo. I was talking about giving up CC and McCann. Brandon Tanev is such an animal, and it was such a shame that I was so excited that JR was able to get him. He just wanted to go somewhere to stay. He wanted to not be bounced around, and then with the expansion he gets bounced out again. So I feel bad for him. I feel like the Pens kind of bent him over. I mean, that's the business, but it's going to be insane watching those guys. I loved Alexiak as a Penguin. I think he was still a great player with the Stars going back and forth, but I think Alexiak being there is going to be really exciting. So I don't think it's going to be a Vegas situation. I think Vegas is still hard for me to wrap my head around. But I mean, Ronnie is Ronnie. Obviously, he was a huge Penguin back in the day, and he has all the respect in the world from a Penguins fan.
I'm not sure young people like realize how good he was either. Like that guy.
I think that's a good point too.
Yeah.
I think that like guys like him and Paul Coffey were like the original Dewey, the original like offensive D-mans. At least to my memory, I'm definitely not a '90s hockey historian to the utmost degree, but yeah, I would trust my life with Ronnie Francis.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. I think the big thing, as far as if you want to talk about if they can do what Vegas did, is just the fact that it's a weak division. Anaheim's got a lot going with some of their young guys coming up. San Jose is
there is a great way to describe it.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing much.
I like their prospect pool a lot. Los Angeles.
Agreed, for sure. And I think that, also talking about hockey is for everyone. I think that I hate the Kings. I hate the Kings fans. I hate Southern California hockey, but all the respect to that organization in terms of what they're doing to grow the game for so many people. Hats off, stick taps for sure. And I think just the same as what I was saying, give it 3 years for the Red Wings to be the pain in the ass for every other hockey, fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Kings are going to be coming back doing the same. I think that Anze Kopitar is one of those just, quiet superstars that you have so much respect for, as far as, I'm a guy that definitely admires humility in a player and someone that keeps his head down and goes about his business. And I think Kopitar is definitely that guy
he's been so good
for how long, and you never talk about him. So
absolutely.
Are the Yotes in that division too?
They switched with Seattle. So Seattle took their spot, and then they're coming to the Central. So now every division has 8 teams.
So Yotes are, I mean,
they're going to be bad.
They're going to be really bad. It's a shame.
OEL to the Canucks and Connor Garland to the Canucks. So the Canucks might be a team that surprises too, but I think Seattle's going to be like a bubble team.
Yeah. I don't know. I was disappointed with the Nucks because I thought the Nucks showed. I mean, Petey was awesome, and honestly, I will admit I was so wrong. But I thought that Quinn Hughes was so much better than Cale Makar rookie year. This most recent season, I've put that to bed. Cale Makar is a better player there.
The reason Joey has a big old grin on his face is because me and him argued during their rookie year who would win the Calder, and then Cale Makar won it by like a hair, even though I personally would have voted for Quinn Hughes, and I have
Same.
bias towards the Hughes family. But Joey was like, no, dude, Cale Makar. And I'm like, Cale Makar needs to learn how to play defense. And then this last season, Cale Makar basically turned into Erik Karlsson, where he's like good on defense, can put up a billion points. He's making perfect passes to Nate McKinnon. Oh, he's so good.
His feet are stupid. What he does with his feet is so stupid.
I consider myself a huge Cale Makar fan. You know, we were in Chicago when he got drafted, so there's that little sentimental thing. And from that, like in Nathan McKinnon and this past year at Philip Grubauer, like I've actually started to really love the Avs, and that's kind of why I'm looking at Seattle. Like I think they're going to be competitive because I think that highly of Philip Grubauer. I think that was an amazing signing.
I think so too. And why am I blanking on? They already signed on the expansion draft. It was Drieger and who else?
Vitek Vanacek, who came
Vanacek.
from the Washington Capitals, and then they traded him back to Washington.
Czech player.
Yeah. Special place in your heart.
Yeah. Geez. And that going as far as the offseason and the woes of a Pens fan too, just like some of those guys floating around. And I never heard any mumblings. The only mumbling I heard that the Pens were trying to bring in was Freddie Anderson, which is still a little bit of a wild card compared to, I don't know. I would have given both my legs to see UC Saros land in Pittsburgh somehow.
Yep.
That would have been the biggest faux pas, idiot mistake in the world for the Preds. But I think that guy is something really special.
He's really good.
Yeah. And I tend to be I'm this way with a lot of European players, but I think the world of Finns as well. So it is an exciting time. I can't even think of what tangent got me started there. I think I got started rambling there just on the Nucks.
We were talking about Seattle and how they're going to do, and the Pacific Division, the Kings, the Ducks, all that.
Right. Sutter is like the quintessential third line center for me. I've always loved watching him. I hated seeing him leave the Penguins or get dealt from the Penguins, but I mean, we also just the Battle of Alberta continuing is so exciting. I've never been so excited to watch Canadian hockey, which I know to anyone north of the border is like, well, then you're a fake hockey fan. You're a complete dud poser. But watching the North Division this past season, given, it obviously sucks, no fans and everything, but like, man, I couldn't get enough Canadian hockey this year. And even like trickling down to the Sens and watching, like, I didn't want to see Matt Murray struggle. The guy's gone through a lot of mental issues with his father passing when he was with the Penguins and whatnot. And he obviously just hasn't been that star goaltender since winning his cups with the Penguins. But just across the board, it's exciting to be watching Canadian hockey. And I honestly think that's going to continue, when we get back into normal divisions as well.
Yeah, the Battle of Alberta is going to be – sorry to interrupt you, Joe. When the band's back, the Battle of Alberta is going to go right back to what it was. We need the Flames to not be trash. The Oilers, I don't think they're great, but they have McDavid and Draisaitl, so they'll at least be a competitive team, at least in terms of scoring. But if the Flames can somewhat put on a show, that matchup can be fun.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to say. Like, even before the North Division, like when it was normal divisions, we would get together with our buddies just to watch the Battle of Alberta games.
Yeah.
Like,
we always started a little later too, so you can like go out for dinner. Or
it'd be like after the Bruins and Devils are over, like you go watch the Flames Oilers beat shit out of each other.
It's just the Kachuk boys, won with the Ottawa, but it's fun. It's fun to watch objectively too, because watching that whole season and not have to actually watch my Pens go against it and such. Joe, how do you feel about the Bees this offseason?
I think it's been a pretty good offseason. They've been a little more active than in recent years. I'm a little worried because you said you had a soft spot for Finns. I have the biggest soft spot.
Czechs.
No, he said he likes Finns too.
Both. I love both. Yeah.
And I would say, Tuukka Rask is probably the main reason I've been a Bruins fan for so long. I love that guy. So there's a little bit of a question mark with him. He just had surgery. They signed Linus Ullmark from Buffalo, so it's going to be him and Swayman to start the season. But obviously, there's a hole to fill with David Krejci. I'd like to see Charlie Coyle kind of step up and play a little better. And who knows, Taylor Hall's staying around for another 4 years. So I think hopefully my hopes is that Charlie Coyle steps into that third or second line center, and then that gives a lot of depth with their signings of Nick Foligno, Eric Holla, Thomas Nosek from Vegas. So I actually think it's going to be a very good year. Everyone's healthy aside from Tuukka, and he'll be back probably February, or no, not February.
January or February.
Yeah, January or February. So I'm excited. I think they're going to be pretty good.
As a Bruins fan that loves Tuukka, you got to get pissed off when everyone starts just.
Oh, it makes me so mad.
Dude, what more can you ask from a goaltender like that? I think it was the band has played Russia twice, which is pretty bizarre and really exciting. The shows are just crazy. But the first time we played Russia, I remember we did we played, it was either St. Petersburg, then Moscow, or Moscow, then St. Petersburg. And then we took a nice train into Finland, into Helsinki. Played an awesome show there. I remember the guy that the promoter in the company that was putting on our show, someone picks us up in the van. His English is just perfect. The first thing we start talking about is hockey. He knows everything, just hockey, 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 this driver in me. And I remember when we were flying out of the airport, there was this, there was a restaurant in the Helsinki airport that was themed after Tuukka Rask. Like, that's how much the Finns are like proud of him and everything. So, yeah, I think you got to be excited about that. I think the obvious point of conversation, at least from my perspective with the Bruins, is that you only have one line scoring. So Taylor Hall is huge. Hopefully it provides the stability that he can provide. He's just really never been in a position, like throwing him in here, throw him in there. Like,
you make fun of the Devils, it's okay.
I was gonna say, well, as a Devils fan, is he a sore spot for you?
No, because he's the first Hart Trophy winner in the history of the New Jersey Devils. A guy like Marty Brodeur didn't even win one.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were so good for so long, and then they were so bad. And then Hall came in and they were pretty good again. And, they traded him for draft picks, and this Dawson Mercer kid that they drafted with the pick that the Coyotes gave them for Hall is apparently really good. The COVID and all that, the WHL wasn't as readily available as it normally is, but I'm very excited about what's gone on since the Hall trade. They got Kevin Ball back too. I don't know if you ever heard of Kevin Ball. He's one of the Devils' top prospects now. He's a big meanie, I like to call him. I write my tweets. I say he's a big old meanie. Brandon Carlo on the Bruins is who I hope he starts to resemble as they call him up, because just be a big, mean defense. I don't need a single goal from you. Just go out there and be Dougie Hamilton's partner or be Ty Smith's partner and let them make that first pass or join the rush and do what you got to do. So Hall don't bother me. I wish him success. He was great with the Devils.
You were a little sour at first, and then he came to the Bees, and you're like, yeah, like.
No, I was pissed off. Here's what pissed me off about Hall, Mike and Joe. He preached about wanting to win, right? I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. Whoever gives me the best chance to win the cup. It's not about money. It's not about that. Where does he sign? Fucking Buffalo. The only team in the NHL that hasn't made the playoffs since I became a diehard fan in 2000, whatever. Like, they're so bad and they're so poorly ran. He's like, I want to win, so I'm going to go sign a deal there. You what? And then he got traded to the Bruins. It makes you wonder if they had like a handshake agreement. Hey, if we're not in playoff contention by March, we'll trade you to a team that you appreciate or like. And he's always wanted to go to the Bruins. Bobby Orr's his agent. So I have no ill feelings towards Taylor Hall anymore.
The Sabres, the poor Sabres. I was, it's probably about 5 years ago. I was between touring. The band wasn't on tour for a little while, and money was a situation. So I was working door at a bar there in Chicago, around Bucktown, and I was working this order fulfillment job up in the burbs in Evanston, and it was just packaging up products, and they were like kind of fragile. So, you stand there all day wrapping stuff, popcorn, packaging all this. And the one saving grace of that job was the dude that I worked with closely was from Buffalo, and he was a huge hockey fan, and he really knew his shit. And it just built something in me to where I was like, I feel bad for this guy. And I would go home from work, and if like the Pens weren't playing, I'd be watching the Sabres because I could talk to my guy about it
Mhm.
the next day at this work that wasn't very great. And ever since then, I've had more of an eye on that team and wanted to hope and see the best in them. And then I forget what the one game it was like the Pens were down 4 and we came back and won and whatnot. And even I was like, I'm sorry, like this hurts even me, and I'm a fan of the team that pulled off the comeback. Like it's crazy. I think the Stahl signing was a bad idea from the get go. You just have to wonder. Like, I mean, I I could say I it makes me want to jump off any building that Jeff Skinner gets paid more than Sidney Crosby, but like it's
That's
it's
times.
it's insane. I think that the Jeff Skinner signing is just like a representation of like 15, 20, 25 years of Sabres hockey. And I don't want to, no one should want to beat up on a good hardworking town like Buffalo. That's a good sports town.
Oh yeah,
It's just those guys deserve better. It sucks. Like, and
absolutely. The Bills are starting to get good in football, and you see what that town can do when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL now, and you want the Sabres to be good so bad.
it sucks. It would be fun to see them. I don't know. The opposite of what I'll do as far as the Sabres, as far as just burying them, is how I feel about the Islanders, and I just want them to go away and die forever.
There's a lot of Islander hate on this show.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I know you love it. I'm a Devils guy, and they're probably third biggest rival, fourth biggest rival. There's a mutual respect between the Devils and Penguins. I know Malkin called the Prudential Center his least favorite building to play in because they always lose there, which is weird because they're good and the Devils stink. But I don't know.
Devils are. I have a friend. She works. She works for Revolver magazine. Huge Devils fan, and we'll always start going back and forth. I feel like Devils are just one of those teams that always beat the Pens. Don't care if the Devils are having a bad season over the last number of years. It's just that stingy shutdown. And the Bruins do the same to the Pens too. It's just like those to me, like the 3 out east between the Devils, Islanders, and Bruins are just those teams that just shut down the neutral zone, shut down the fun, exciting speed that I see in the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Mm-hmm. You might see it start to flip with the Devils. I don't see how adding Dougie Hamilton and trying to develop Hughes and Heishier and Smith. It's hard to see them like sticking with this like neutral zone trap type of deal. They're definitely going to be a much faster team as the years come along. I think the Pittsburgh Penguin style might be implemented into the Devils a little more as the years come up here.
How about the Rangers?
You had to bring them up?
Is that number one most hated?
Oh, that's probably... I'm a big baseball guy too, and I'm a Chicago White Sox fan. And the Cubs are my least favorite team in all sports. The Rangers are right there, number 2.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I do not like the Rangers at all. And when they traded for Ryan Reeves last week, I was like, they're literally only making trades to like fight the Capitals. They're not even trying to win anymore. They just want to fight the Capitals.
I don't know if you guys listen to this band, but we toured with them, and they're called Stray from the Path. They're originally all from Long Island, but their guitar player in the band, Tom, huge hockey guy. You guys, if you wanted to have him on, I could connect you guys, but Tom is the best. Super funny. He gets so heated talking hockey, knows the game front to back. Amazing hockey fan. And he's die hard Rags. Like he just had a daughter and he wanted to name his daughter Henrik Lundqvist. Like this is the biggest King Hank fan in the world. And the last proper tour that we actually played and finished was the end of 2019 with Stray from the Path. And Tom and I would go 2 hours a night on the bus on hockey and going back and forth about this and that. And like, even like Alexei Kovalev's time in New York versus Pittsburgh versus Montreal was a fun one. But he gets so just vinegar in his veins about anything, and especially hockey. and he's the biggest Rangers fan in the world. So I think about him. Lafreniere didn't really. He kind of had, to me, a bit of a Jack Hughes rookie year.
Yeah,
Jack had
absolutely.
an awesome second year. I think he's really. It's exciting to see what Alexi is. It Alexi? Is he like Alexi?
I've always said Alexis, but I'm probably wrong. He's French Canadian, so you never truly know.
Yeah. I think he's going to bounce back. I think he's going to be excited. I still don't know what Zibanejad. I think his potential is endless.
Yep, especially having Panarin with him on the power play, making him sweet passes. That Zibanejad can shoot. So if you have someone like Panarin putting it right on your tape,
Fox on the back end.
Yeah,
it's stacked,
Fox, man.
Fox I didn't see that season happening from him. That's a lot to build on. I think the Rags are coming back to a real position of power, and I think their style of play is also exciting. I hate to admit, I think they're going to be a real top contender. It kind of bums me out. I think that the Canes had to sign Rod the Bod, and I'm excited that they did sign Brenda Moore, but I don't think they made enough big moves or have done much of anything besides losing Dougie Hamilton to put the Canes any further up than they have the past two seasons, because that's definitely a team that, again, I love Finns, so Aho and Teravainen, love seeing those guys play. They're sick. So I think I love that team. I'm pulling for them because I think even, hate Brenda Moore as a Flyer back in the day and whatnot, but as a hockey fan, you have to respect the shit out of Rod the Bod. And
he's been so good as their coach.
Yeah, I just don't think that management wise they're going to be able to do anything, or they've done anything to get him over the hump. Versus where I think they've kind of maxed out, but I could be very wrong that they could be making a bigger push in the playoffs, and the Penguins are just first round knockouts again, and I'll be bitching and moaning about it.
Yeah. So one team that I'm surprised we've gone this long without even mentioning is the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. What do you think about them, and how do you think they're going to do next year, and the whole cap situation this year? Like, what's your take on all that?
They're fucking bullies, man. They're just bullies. Like, what? As a Steelers fan, do you want to talk about the Patriots? It's just dynasty. They really are that good.
And they're going to be that good again.
They are. They didn't really lose anything that terrible. I mean, Braden Point is a kind of player that if he was anywhere else, I'd be such a fan. Same as like Barzell. I'll shit on the Isles all day, but Matty Barzell is filthy and the type of player that I love. And I think that really does a lot to elevate the game for guys that don't know hockey super well, or women, or anyone that doesn't know hockey super well. When you watch someone like Point or Barzell. He just what's his AAV, like 9.5. He just signed for so good for them, good for him. He's obviously earned it. Tyler Johnson went to the Hawks, didn't he?
Yep. They traded Seabrook's contract
under
Tyler Johnson's contract. So
I mean, honestly, I think 15 years ago it was fun watching the Bolts. Marty St. Louis I'm short. I'm 5'8". So any short player is also a big thumbs up for me, which is also a part of like Pasta's game, is not being a huge presence. And even the Rat, even Marshy, he's not.
You love Marchand then.
Because Marshy's what, 5'9"? Or is he 5'10"?
Like that. He's a shorter dude.
Yeah, 5'10", 5'9". He lies. Him and Torrey Krug used to lie all the time about their height.
Yeah, but he's just a pit bull, He's just a dense mass. So I don't know. Back in the day, I loved St. Louis. Even going out to the Wild, Norwegian.
Man, Zuccarello.
Zooks. I love seeing Zooks play. I love Minnesota generally, so I have a soft spot for the Wild, and also the same as far as Billy G, GM. I'm getting off the question as far as Tampa Bay. But yeah, I mean, what can you do? Vazzy takes up the entire net, and he's athletic. Hedman is a again, another just
He was
skyscraper
made in
that
a
can move that
factory.
fast.
He was made in a
Um,
defensive factory.
Yeah. And it's also like the Swedes are up there for me too. So yeah, Hetty, it's no surprise they went back to back. It's kind of one of those teams that I would have bet early in the season, they'd be taking the cup, and they had a lot of times where they came up very short, even to the Pens. Like it was
Yep.
like I should know this. The Pens beating the Bolts. I think the Pens beat the Bolts to go in
It was
against
2017, or
Was
it was
it-
either 2016 or 17, and they beat them in the conference finals. And the Lightning were damn good, and the Penguins beating them was a borderline upset.
right. I think both those series, not to sorry Preds or Sharks, but like getting through the East was, I think, a bigger task for the
Yeah,
Pens those
absolutely.
years. But yeah, it's no surprise. It's I know, coming from a Pittsburgh guy in the 70s Steelers, 70s Pirates, 90s Pens, the Sidney Crosby era Pens, long, like, not to just be boasting here, but longest postseason run being the Penguins is a huge
Yeah.
point of pride for me as a Pens fan. Like
Absolutely.
I still I don't like dynasty teams.
Hmm.
Those Patriots, and I just kind of put the Bolts up there. They really are that good.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see what they look like next year. I'll say one thing as we kind of make our way all over the place, but I remember I'm a big fan of the 31 Thoughts podcast with Freach
Elliot
and
Friedman.
and Merrick. That's one that I never ever miss. And I remember early in this season, obviously it's COVID season, it's crazy what's happening, this and that, the divisions. And I remember they were talking about it. I think at TSN, that they had polls like in the office early, and they were like, which team is going to be like the biggest disappointment? And I remember the one that no one said, that I was like, this is the team that's not going to do anything they did last year, was the Stars. And I don't hate the Stars by any stretch. I think Radulov is so fun.
Yeah.
Like that he's just like that kind of animal player, the same as Brandon Tanev, just one of those guys, those disruptors you hate playing against. But I knew that the Stars did something magical to make it against the Bolts, and I knew they wouldn't be able to do anything. I think they just kind of really fell short. And given everything outside hockey, being COVID and the just power outage situation in Texas was obviously really unfortunate. It's obviously bigger than hockey, but disappointing year for those guys. I don't see the Stars being able to do anything far into the postseason. Kind of the same as the Preds making it. I think there's got to be major changes. Who did Ryan Ellis go to?
Philly.
Flyers.
Yeah, that's right. God damn it, the fucking Flyers.
Yep. Right.
So like I feel like it's a joke for Cam Atkinson to go over there for Voracek. Like, Voracek's a great player. He's got a lot left in him, but Flyers are going to be such a pain in the ass.
They sure are. And they're right there with the Rangers for me. Like, they're the second biggest rival.
You said Cubs, then Rangers?
Yeah. And then I'd probably put the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers up there. And then the Flyers would be right under there. I'm
Flyers Ravens.
Okay. That makes sense as a Pittsburgh guy for sure.
Yeah. Who's your football team? Or
the Bears. I'm an all Chicago fan except hockey.
What about you, Joey?
We've been kind of shitting on the Patriots all day. I didn't want to mention it, but yeah, all the Boston teams except the Chicago White Sox are like I like the Red Sox and White Sox about equal, but besides that, it's all the Boston teams.
Gotcha. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I definitely jumped ship. Living in Chicago, I was going to Bulls games here and there, but now with the Bucks, I'm like
the Bucks are so likable, and they're like the second local team around here too. Like with Giannis just like going to Chick-fil-A and making friends. Like everyone loves this guy.
He's magical. Like he's just like it's same as like kind of the pasta vibe, where he wakes up like smiling. Like it's just like kind of that mentality. But I can't dog on guys jumping ship between teams too much because again, I was like, there was some exciting years when Jimmy Butler was with the Bulls, and then I moved up here, and I'm like, oh, Bulls are real bad right now, and the Bucks are really starting to gain momentum, and It was crazy. I hate to say it, but my girlfriend and we went to Brady Street, which is kind of like going to like Belmont or down Milwaukee Ave in Chicago after like, the Cubs win or something. But I remember when the Hawks won and I was living in Chicago, and it wasn't like the Bucks here. Chicago still definitely takes the cake, but a couple weeks ago for the little Milwaukee Bucks to get that championship badge it was exciting here. So I'm going all over the place. Sorry, boys.
Hey, we love it, and we can't thank you enough for your time. Before I let you go, I am going to ask you one question. What's next with the Devil Wears Prada? Is there any new music to be looking forward to? Thinking about getting out there again? We want to come see you. You're the only band in my top 10 I've never seen. You and A Day to Remember are the only two bands that are in my top 10 that I've never seen live yet. So I got to change that for both of you guys.
Yeah, well, the A Day to Remember guys are very close buddies.
I've seen the music video.
yeah. I actually just got my tooth fixed 6 days ago, so I should have left it out a little longer. Our first show back is with them actually in outside Cincinnati, which is going to be really exciting. I'm in the Ghost Inside. If you guys need a Vigil, the singer of Ghost Inside, you can talk puck with for days as well. But I'll believe it when I'm actually on a stage again. But we have shows coming up early September in Ohio, and then we finish the tour that we got called off of in March of last year. We were able to play Chicago. We played House of Blues on that tour, so we won't be back in Chicago at the end of this year. But you got my email. Let me know when you guys need some tickets, and I can talk your ear off for days. But the Worst Prada just put out our second zombie themed EP a few months ago. Charted really well. The numbers have been really exciting, so we're really just cloud nine on that. We released again those 5 songs. We got we're writing more music now. We put out a new record called The Act in 2019, and we're just excited to tour again. We've been doing Twitch streams. I got one of those coming up this evening, and just kind of shooting the shit with the boys. Been doing that, and then we just launched a new merch store. I think I'm heading to Nashville to write some songs in like 10 days. Talk shit on Smashville. But yeah, exciting time. Thank you guys so much for having me. I could go on forever. I see. Well, obviously with the Bauer hat, Joey, do you skate?
Yeah, I actually do. I'm just in like a men's rec league. Every Sunday we get together and play. And there's like probably a 10-week period and then a couple weeks off. And then we'll have new teams and we just play a tournament. And our last game was actually this past Sunday. My team I was on, we won it all. So now we'll go 3 weeks without skating. And then we'll be on a new team with new guys and then play again.
I'm down. We did some photos at Johnny's. It was a while ago in the pandemic, but I'm down in Chicago usually. When there's not a pandemic, I'm down there like weekly. But we'll have to skate sometime. And
let's do it.
Thank you guys so much for having me, and thank you for allowing me to pump all my nonsense and my Pittsburgh fandom.
Absolutely.
But, keep up the great work, boys.
Thank you. We've been fans for a very long time. Like I said, when with Roots Above and Branches Below was like the newest album, we were obsessed with it. I still listen to Des Moines and Big Wiggly Style at least once a week. So, thank you so much for coming on. I want to have you back. We'll have another interview maybe closer to the season, I think, and I'm definitely going to hit you up for some tickets because I'm coming. I'm gonna be in the pit.
Sounds great, boys. You got my email. Let me know. I guess from here on out, we just count down the puck drop.
Yep, I want to say it's 72 more days.
You got the number.
72 more days. I'm almost positive. So,
I think the Pens start against the Hawks too. I think in Pittsburgh, Pens.
So do the Devils.
Really?
In New Jersey. So I think they're on a little bit of a East Coast swing there.
Gotcha.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And to our audience, we would like to send you to a quick commercial break. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
The Barroom Network continues to grow, and we are proud to announce another Chicago Bulls show to the network. Bulls Gold with Edward Schuler Jr. and Salim Sudarwala. Hey Bears fans, the Barfly Tailgate Show returns this Sunday only on the Barroom Network.
It's the Mikey Bet Show, the Mikey Bet Show. Do you know the Mikey Bet Show?
Coming this fall, the Barroom Network presents two fired-up Bears fans. They are ready to rumble on the Bear Debate.
And we would like to send you over to period number 2. I cannot stop smiling.
Yeah. Huge
That
thank you to Mike for coming on. That was probably one of the more fun interviews we've ever done because you're able to talk to him like as if he's one of our friends. Like that was so
He
fucking
knows
awesome.
hockey way more than most of our friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me your Mount Rushmore of the Devil Wears Prada songs for people to like go out and listen and support this guy because I love everything about him. What's your Mount Rushmore of the Devil Wears Prada songs?
For me, my number one without question is Big Wiggly Style. That one is by far my go-to. We listen to it like on the way to hockey, getting ready, even in the gym and stuff. You had mentioned Des Moines is pretty much like that album is the one that we grew up on essentially.
Yeah, it started us on them as a band. And then we obviously went back and listened to Plagues, but that came out before. I didn't even talk to him about Plagues.
Yeah.
I gotta give him that.
Danger Wild Man. What I'm gonna do is I know the second that this show ends, I'm actually gonna listen to that 5-song EP that they released a little more in depth because I haven't gotten around to that yet. But I've heard good things about it, and he said that it's been getting a lot of high praise. So I'm excited for the future of Devil Wears Prada, and I'm willing to take him up on the tickets. Like I would love to go see him and talk puck with him in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if we're just fans in the crowd, I think my Mount Rushmore would have to be. It's tough. Like, do you include Still Fly? Because like I love Still Fly, the cover from Big Timers.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd include that one.
I think I would. I've been listening to that song for 10 years and like regularly my whole life. So I'm going to go Still Fly, Des Moines, Danger Wild Man, and then a song on Plagues. You can't spell crap without C. Definitely up there for me.
And I know, shout out our buddy Jeremy. I hate buffering.
I hate buffering.
That was always a funny one.
Yeah, because every time like something would load, he'd be like, "Oh, I hate buffering." It'd be like the shout to the Devil Wears Prada song. But I mean, if Mike's still watching, he's learning that how much his band has impacted our life. So like you said, listening on the way to hockey, I threw a song by them on the way to the White Sox game yesterday, so that's always fun. I love that band. Like everybody who knows me knows that Avenged Sevenfold and Atreyu are like my top tier, like top two favorite bands. And then it's The Devil Wears Prada and A Day to Remember, and I really like those types of bands. So when we're talking about rock music in general,
And I actually didn't know he was, Czech Republic of Czech Republic descent. So like that was pretty cool to hear, and kind of leads right into my guy David Krejci. We talked a little bit about him. It's a sad day, sad week, sad time. I would consider it an end of an era. Along now that he and Zdeno are kind of gone, but David Krejci.
And for those who don't know what Joey's referring to, David Krejci is heading back to the Czech Republic after playing 962 games where he scored 215 goals and 515 assists for 730 points. He was drafted by the Boston Bruins in 2004, second round, 63rd overall. He is a Stanley Cup champion that the Bruins would probably claim is one of the greatest second-line centers who ever lived. Your thoughts on David Krejci's career and what he meant to you?
Yeah, if his career is over, he's played 15 seasons. He's going back to the Czech Republic to, I believe, play hockey. I don't think he's retired from the game, but he's going to live there. He's not going to be with Boston to start next season. He's currently a free agent to the NHL. The past 15 seasons he's been with this team. He was drafted by them. He played in Providence. He is the definition of a homegrown NHL superstar. And he's kind of always been the 1B centerman in the Boston Bruins with the development of Patrice Bergeron, where I believe he'd be a true number one centerman on 29 other teams throughout his career. I think that highly of David Krejci. I don't know how many other players can make this claim, but he's led the playoffs in scoring twice in his 15 seasons. He is obviously a Stanley Cup champion. In my time watching within the past decade or so, he really hasn't had a true set of line mates, and yet he's been very productive. Finally, the Bruins kind of figured that out for him with the signing of Taylor Hall, where things looked very good toward the end of last season. But, I mean, time meets its match and he's going back to the Czech Republic. So there's a hole to fill. It's an unreplaceable void in David Krejci for the Boston Bruins.
Talk to me about how you think David Krejci might have helped someone like David Pastrnak in a positive way.
Yeah, when the Bruins drafted David Pastrnak in, I believe, 2014, 24th overall, 20-something overall. I mean, this kid barely spoke a lick of English. He kind of always looked up to David Krejci, being from the Czech Republic, growing up in the Czech Republic. David Krejci was one of those guys he looked up to. So to be drafted and be his teammate now, he kind of started his career as his line mate. He taught him what it's like to be a professional and, the ropes of America. And it really helped David Pastrnak, I believe, develop into the true professional player that he is a guy like David Krejci as your role model. And that's not to say he's obviously had Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand, but it's a little different. Like you have your countrymen there. And I think without David Krejci, David Pastrnak might not be the professional that he is today.
Jaromir Jagr, Patrick Elias, 1 and 2 best Czech players ever. Is David Krejci third?
He could be. I mean, he could be. There's some great Czech players, especially older that we didn't have necessarily the pleasure of watching. But in our era, I would say David Krejci, he's won Czech Republic Player of the Year a couple of times. Right now, I think David Pasternak's on a little bit of a hot streak with that award. But yeah, I would say David Krejci definitely is one of the top, at least Mount Rushmore of Czech Republic players in the entire world.
I'm actually trying to find the statistics right now of the Czechs' all-time leading scorers. David Krejci's 7th. So Milan Hajduk is up there.
That's what I'm saying. There's going to be players that were before our era of necessarily.
Bobby Holik, who also played for the New Jersey Devils. Jakub Voracek is actually 8 points ahead of Krejci with roughly the same amount of games played. Peter Sikora is up there. You might remember a guy like Thomas Plekanec or Martin Havlat, who played for the Hawks for a long time. Czech hockey Rather underrated.
Yeah. I want to put you on the spot. What is your favorite David Krejci line in the past decade or so of us watching the Boston Bruins?
Um, I think you're probably going to agree with me. There was when he played early on. I think it was even the year they beat or lost to the Hawks in the Stanley Cup final. It was David Krejci, Milan Lucic, and Nathan Horton. And then Horty left in free agency, and they replaced him with Jerome Iginla, which probably gets an honorable mention for me. Lucic, Krejci, and Iginla. But when they had Nathan Horton, man, it was unbelievable what they were able to do. That was their best line in the playoffs a lot of the time. Whether it was Iginla or Horton, the two constants were Lucic and Krejci. And I truly think that there was a point in time where that was the best. Like, people might remember in 2013, the year the Bruins went to the Stanley Cup final against the Hawks and they lost in 6. In the first round, they were winning 3-1 to the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round, and Toronto came all the way back and forced Game 7. Well, in that Game 7, the Bruins were also down 3-1 4-1 in the game, and they came all the way back and won in the third period. They were down 4-1 in the third period, and a lot of the comeback had to do with David Krejci. He was the primary setup man on the goal scored by Lucic to make it 4-2, and then Horton to make it 4-2, and then Lucic, his line mate, made it 4-3. And then when Patrice Bergeron scored the game-tying goal, he was actually the extra attacker that was out there with Krejci's line. So I see one common denominator in a lot of Bruins' recent playoff success, and it's David Krejci, and he was a great player. So that's my long, unnecessarily winded answer on my favorite all-time David Krejci line.
Yeah. David Krejci, when talking about him, you kind of almost have to mention his productivity in the playoffs. He is a different player in the playoffs. My favorite playoff moment was actually that same year, 2013, that same round. It was Game 4. He scored a hat trick against the Leafs, and he also went on to lead that entire playoffs in scoring, despite they lost in the Stanley Cup final to Chicago. David Krejci was the leading point scorer of that playoff run. And he went on to do the same thing in 2000, or he was the leading scorer, I believe, in 2011 as well. So, I mean, David Krejci he is a playoff guy, and I'm a little worried about the hole to be filled there. So, I mean, you can't say enough great things about David Krejci, and hopefully his time as a professional hockey player isn't done. Because if I'm able to see him come February, if the NHL players, even if the NHL players don't go to the Olympics, if I get to see David Krejci out there representing Czech Republic, that's going to have a warm spot in my heart. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about those old Bruin teams, especially 2013, that was probably the best Bruins team. I think they were better than the 11 team that won the cup, and I think they were better than the 19 team that lost the cup to the Blues. I really do. They were so good. Just the Hawks were just a tad bit better that year. They were almost on like a magical little run, the Blackhawks. Like, they started the season 21-0-3, and they were just crazy. And they had Hossa and Sharp and Taves, and, like, all in their prime. But that Bruins team was unbelievable. Having Krejci, I would even say Krejci, Lucic, Horton was their top line, even if it wasn't on paper. In terms of ice time, it was probably pretty steady with Bergeron, Marchand, and Sagan. And then when they traded for Jágr, there were times where they bumped Sagan down for Jágr, and Sagan would play with Chris Kelly. Right? If I remember correctly?
Yes. Yeah. Jágr played a lot with Bergeron and Marchand. And
yeah, Sagan struggled in the Stanley Cup final.
Oh, yeah. Big time. And that was actually, I remember there was a lot of cool promo stuff that NBC did. David Krejci's favorite player growing up was Jaromir Jágr. So to have that honor of at least playing with him as a teammate and a part of his career, that's got to be pretty cool for Krejci.
There's that all-time famous video that pops up on Twitter every now and then. It's like from a commercial in the Czech Republic. And, hello, my name is David Krejci, and my favorite hockey player growing up was Jaromir Jágr. And then they flip over to Jaromir Jagr, and he goes, "Hello, my name is Jaromir Jagr, and my favorite hockey player growing up was Jaromir Jagr." It's just seeing those two like goof around like that was the funniest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our short David Krejci analysis. The Bruins are going to miss him. Maybe he'll re-sign in time for playoffs. Maybe he'll come back to the NHL to some degree. We'll see. It definitely seems like the Olympics might have something to do with it. We'll see what happens with Krejci. Any last-minute thoughts on him?
Yeah, here's my, my fanboy speaking. Here's what I hope happens. I explained it to you already. I'm hoping, because there's no doubt that David Krejci, especially as he gets older, he's 36 years old now. He has been a little more fragile in his later years. He had hip surgery a few years ago, and they take everything with caution in terms of his injuries. So I'm hoping that he's taking this first 3/4 of the year off. He's going to stay in Czech Republic. He mentioned his family. He has family over there. His daughters have never really been able to live there long term. So he's going to live in Czech Republic, go back home, probably play hockey still. I'm hoping that he participates in the Olympics. He kind of uses that as his training camp, and then he signs a 1-year deal, just similar to the way Justin Williams did with Carolina, and then he joins the Boston Bruins mid to late February and finishes off the regular season, and then makes another playoff run, because this team, with the signings and the way that the guys that they have right now are in their prime, they're ready to win the Stanley Cup right now. They have at least another two-year window of Marchand, Bergeron. Who knows with the contract situation of Charlie McAvoy, Tuukka Rask? Who knows how long he's going to be playing for? So their window is shutting, and it's shutting quicker rather than it's shutting fast. They have 2 years, I would say. So David Krejci did not retire from the NHL, and I'd kind of be surprised if he comes back and plays with any other team other than the Boston Bruins.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We wish him well. Hopefully he comes back healthy. Hopefully he's able to play in the Olympics. I think the NHL is going to play in the Olympics anyway. It's not confirmed yet, but there is a 2-week Olympic break in the NHL calendar right now.
And now there's broadcasting issues, I heard, though.
Yeah, I mean, NBC has the Olympics, but they don't have hockey anymore. So it's or the NHL, I guess I should say, they don't have anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of the Olympics in terms of NHL players. But I would assume David Krejci will play, since he is not currently an NHL player.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yep. So David Krejci, he deserves his own period on this show, especially after announcing his leave of absence, we'll call it for right now. I'm sure we'll be talking about him again in the not so distant future. But for now, we would like to send it over to period number 3. And period number 3 of Bar Down Blackhawk Talk, presented by the Barroom Network. That's Joey, I'm Vinny. Marc-Andre Fleury is coming to Chicago.
Yes, he is. And he is not retiring. He is playing. He looks good. Number 29 in red. It's exciting.
I feel bad for Mike. I want Fleury to go back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but
I want Mike to be happier than me happy. Like, go Pens.
I mean, he's not far. Maybe we can catch a Hawks Pens game, and with Fleury and net, that would be pretty cool.
I'm sure he'd enjoy it. Fleury is the reigning Vezina Trophy winner. He is one of the best goalies of all time. He is 3rd all time in wins. I'm not sure he'll get to 2nd place, but he has a chance depending on how long he plays. First will never be broken because my guy, Martin Brodeur, has it, and it's an unbreakable record as far as I'm concerned. That changes the entire outlook of the 2021-22 Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, we talked a lot about last week, and there was a big if. It was if Fleury plays. Well, he's playing, and I'll just go ahead and say it right now. This is a playoff team. I'll say it. The Chicago Blackhawks are a 2022 playoff team, and Fleury is the main reason for that.
I agree with you, and I thought they were going to be so bad going into the offseason. I did not see them making a trade for Jones. I don't give a crap what his analytics were in 2021 because the Blue Jackets were so bad. John Tortorella's system was clearly not working. Nobody on the Blue Jackets had a good year this past year. That roster should not have been as bad as they were. And Seth Jones is going to come to Chicago and become an analytical darling. I truly believe that. He has been a Norris Trophy contender up until last season, and all of a sudden, one short pandemic season makes people want to turn their backs on Seth Jones. Is $9.5 million a lot? Sure is. Do I still think he's a top 21 defenseman? Sure do. So we'll see what happens. He's the Hawks' new number one. I think playing with his brother. His partner won't be his D partner. I don't think he's good enough, but he will be on the same defense core with him. The Hawks would not have protected him if that weren't going to be the case. I really like Connor Murphy. Connor Murphy for Hjalmarsson was a bad trade only because the Hawks needed Hjalmarsson, and Murphy took longer to develop than the Hawks would have wanted because their window closed a little bit. But now they have Murphy, and he's come along quite a bit. So I like him. Stillman is going to play. We'll see what happens with Ian Mitchell or Nicholas Beaudin. I kind of always lump those two together because of the way they came up together. And, you know, there's no more Keith. There's no more Seabrook. I just mentioned Hjalmarsson, Oduya. They're all gone. It's this new reign.
Another
Calvin
guy that they signed for 4 years, Jake McCabe. I think that's
Jake
very,
McCabe. It's a
very
great
underrated. Yeah.
We talked about Buffalo with Mike. Buffalo was bad last season, but Jake McCabe, before getting hurt against the Devils, no less, he was really good. And he was one of the only Sabres players who had a good plus minus. I don't love plus minus. It's kind of a bad stat. But if you have a good plus minus on that team, maybe it's not such a bad stat.
Yeah. I love that signing. It was definitely one of the more underrated signings that we've seen.
No doubt about it. They're going to be a pretty good team. Tyler Johnson, I didn't like the trade at first, but he is a good player that makes the Hawks a better forward group. There's no doubt about that.
And he's a natural center.
Yes.
I like him at center. He could play right wing. I like him at center. So, that gives you center depth with.
People are automatically just crowning Doc as the second line center, though. I don't see it that way. Tyler Johnson very well could center Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat, and I would be 0% surprised.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many possibilities for the way the forward group looks. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Taves plays with Kane.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised one bit. So, I mean, I'm excited. It's very exciting. I actually haven't been this excited. I don't know if it's us doing this show or the underdog mentality. I'm actually very excited for the Chicago Blackhawks this year.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. We talked about it. Everything we're going to kind of go over here in the NHL news portion of the show as we wrap things up. We did kind of go over with Mike a little bit, but on our last show, the Devils signed Dougie Hamilton. I reported that they did, and the team never made it official, and it was, taking a couple hours. Is it going to be official? They were really working out like a very complex contract. So it was done, but they were like working out the kinks. But by the end of the night, Dougie Hamilton was a New Jersey Devil, and he's probably their new best defenseman, top 3 player on the team, if not best player on the team. When NHL 21 or 22 comes out, holy crap, we're at NHL 22 now. Like, that'll be the best player on the team, the top skater, and I'm excited to see Dougie Hamilton play on squad.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Dougie Hamilton fan. He kind of left on sour terms with these Boston Bruins, but he's good. I'll admit it. He is a good.
You're gonna root for Hamilton the same way I root for Hall. Got it?
I don't know if I can get behind that. Dougie Hamilton left.
I wasn't asking.
Dougie Hamilton left on way worse terms than Taylor Hall left the Devils.
Huh?
Dougie Hamilton was traded.
So was Hall.
I get that, but he was traded because he refused to re-sign as a RFA.
I mean, that's the only difference as an RFA.
That's a huge difference. As an RFA opposed to a UFA, that's a huge difference.
I guess. I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
Scumbag move.
He was 23.
He was 20. Yeah. He also probably, I don't know if he'd be the same defenseman he was if he never even had the pleasure of playing with Zdeno Chara. Zdeno Chara, grooms young defensemen.
That's fine. Now he's on my team. The Zdeno Chara groom worked, whatever you want to call it. He will be anchoring the New Jersey Devils blue line, and I'm very excited. I think they have actually a pretty decent D now with Ty Smith, and they're going to have Graves and Severson and Siegenthaler and, Juros, or however you say it. they're okay. We'll see what happens. Oh, Subban, but like I don't know. It's not a group of. I'm not calling them a cup contender or anything like that, but I definitely think they'll be a much improved team.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sucks that Luke Hughes is going to play in Michigan. I get he's so young, but like, wouldn't it be kind of cool to see what if he just is one of those rookies who can play super young?
I mean, even if he plays next year at 19, he would still qualify as that.
No, I get, yeah, but I mean, it's hard for me to like sit back
You
and
just
wait.
want instant gratification. Because
Exactly.
every time the Devils draft a sick guy, but look what happened with Ty Smith. Ty Smith, I'm saying he went back 2 seasons to the WHL. They thought he was only going to go back one. That second one, people were like stunned, like holy crap, the Devils aren't keeping him. Like what's wrong with him? And this year we saw why the Devils did that because he was awesome. He was a top 10 Calder Trophy guy this season. He was so good. So do what you got to do with Luke. It's not about winning now. It's about winning in the future.
I know with my team, I just want to see these guys play now. That's just the way I am.
Yeah, these guys, they barely ever play now with the Bruins, though.
I know, and that's why like I don't run the team. I'm just saying what I want to have.
Yeah, it's hard to get guys that can just do that. There might not be a single guy drafted that plays day one. There might be one. There might be a surprise in training camp or something. But as of right now, Owen Power might be the first overall pick to not play with his team the following year in like 10 years.
Oh yeah, that's kind of weird.
So we'll see what happens. The Kraken, talked about it earlier. They did sign Grubauer, traded Vanacek back to the Washington Capitals. Grubauer-Drieger is a great duo. I like the Kraken's goaltending.
Yeah, I want to ask you, and I want you to be dead ass honest. Did you see somewhere that they were going to trade Vitek Vanacek back to Washington? Or was that your own? Because you said that was going to happen.
Did I?
Someone did.
I did say that. No, I'm just so smart.
No, you must have saw it somewhere.
I didn't.
Because I think
I just don't understand. I like. It felt like something Washington might pursue, and they did.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like they're not going to have like 3 top goalies like that.
No, I know. It was just. I think they signed Grubauer before our last show, so we kind of briefly talked about it. No,
I think it was happening while we were recording. Don't forget, last week at 2 p.m. was like hour 2 of free agency.
Yeah.
So, we were kind of doing it right along while it was happening. So,
yeah. But the main point here, Philip Grubauer, I'm getting a Seattle Philip Grubauer jersey. That's my guy. He's going to be the player, my favorite player of a team, the first jersey, the forever. Like you're going to remember this 30 years from now. Who is your favorite player of the Seattle Kraken? What's your first jersey? It's going to be Philip Grubauer for me. I'm going to stick with this team. I like this team, and I love Philip Grubauer. So, Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, I'm thinking about joining the Kraken bandwagon with you. I want to be like a Kraken guy.
Yeah, it just seems fun, and never will I root for them over the Bruins. I always like having kind of like those Western teams I like because of the fact that they really don't interfere with my love for the Bruins. Like I pretty much will hate all the Eastern team, not hate them, but like I don't consider myself a huge fan of any Eastern team, but I got a lot of teams in the West that I really cheer for and root for because it never interferes with, the number one goal, and that's them. So the Seattle Kraken are definitely up there for me. And I'm excited. I cannot wait.
I agree. I watch a lot of West Coast hockey just because they're on when the Devils are over. Okay, what are we watching? After the Devils and Bruins are over, like okay, the Kings, the Ducks, the Kraken now, Vegas. So I'm stoked. I can't wait.
Yeah.
The New York Rangers traded for Reeves. Quick thoughts on that? Do you care? They play Washington opening night. Reeves and Wilson hate each other. The Rangers and Wilson hate each other. It seems like they knew what they were doing when they acquired him. I know you don't agree, but you're in the minority.
I was just going to say, I honestly don't think there's much of a correlation. Like, I don't think that Vegas had any intentions, or it wasn't even a thought in their mind about Tom Wilson and, the Rangers need this when trading Ryan Reeves.
No, I don't either. I think the Rangers went out and got him.
I don't think they went out and got him.
Don't care.
I don't think the Rangers were sitting in their boardroom being like, hey, we're gonna have to play against Tom Wilson. Who can we get to fight him? Let's trade for
Not,
Ryan.
I do. I wholeheartedly.
I think they got Ryan Reeves because he's a competitor and he can help your team win.
I don't know if I agree. And the problem is we'll never know for sure. Because if you were to ask,
We will know for sure if they play each other and Reeves and Wilson don't do jack shit. We'll know for sure if that's the case. If first shift, not even first shift, if first game against Washington, Reeves goes out to fight Tom Wilson or something, I'll agree.
you don't think that's going to happen whether the Rangers did it on purpose or not?
The first game, no.
That won't prove it to me. That to me won't prove it. I think it's a guarantee that it happens. That didn't even cross my mind.
The first game, you think
I
it's
think
just,
there's a chance you're right, but Reeves fighting him first game wouldn't be what makes me agree with you.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I do. I think it's a foregone conclusion.
If Tom
The way
Wilson,
last season ended, the Rangers put out that crying letter, oh, the Capitals. Like, I don't see a world where they don't fight.
it's all water under the bridge now.
That's not how it works.
Settled. It was settled last year. They played them twice. They had a home at home with them.
Very much looking forward to opening night on ESPN between the Rangers and the Capitals. That will be something that everybody can watch. One thing's for sure, whether it was done for a reason or not, having Wilson and Revo in the same division is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, just having Reeves in the East is going to be a change of pace in general.
Yes.
It does suck that we're going to talk about him in a second here. It does suck that he's no longer in the same division as our pal Evander Kane. Because that is probably one of the best player-on-player rivalries I've seen in the past few years.
Well, let's get into it. Evander Kane might not be in the NHL at all if they conduct a search on him. There are reports that his wife put on Instagram about his gambling problem and betting on the Sharks to lose and throwing games, which is kind of hard to believe since he had a career year last season. But the NHL announced that they are going to conduct a thorough investigation on Reeves and gambling on his team. We've seen things. What did I say?
Reeves.
I meant Evander Kane. Sorry, you got that player rivalry stuck in my head. I meant Evander Kane. Evander Kane is dealing with this. Apparently, him and his wife are no longer going to be, which is kind of sad news. But I mean, he's a great player, and it seems to me like he has a serious gambling problem. I know he filed for bankruptcy a couple years ago and basically played his entire San Jose Sharks season for free, which, if you think about an elite hockey player's financial status and what they make, hearing that they played for free is very tough. So I don't have much to say other than I feel bad about the situation in whole, and I hope everything is able to get worked out for both sides because I'm sure this is very hard on a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know if you like. Obviously, you saw the statements made by his wife. Did you see Evander Kane's like rebuttal statements or no?
Yeah, he like thoroughly denied it.
Yeah, and part of me, I'm gonna side with Evander Kane on this one. I
Don't
believe
say something irresponsible.
what?
I said, don't say something irresponsible.
All I'm gonna say is I agree with him in his statement where he says, I have never gambled / bet on hockey, never gambled / bet on a Sharks game, never gamble / bet on any of my games, and never thrown a hockey game. I agree 100%. I'd be shocked if that was real.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I hope it's not. I don't want to say I hope his now about to be ex-wife is a liar, but I kind of hope she's a liar because that will make Evander Kane probably not be able to play in the league for a long time. And Pete Rose is still banned from baseball.
Yeah, that's
definitely MLB's all-time hits leader, and he's not in the Hall of Fame because he gambled on some Reds games.
Yeah, you can do a lot of stupid stuff, but I'd be shocked if Evander Kane, was betting on his own games as a player.
Yeah. Last but not least, at least for this week, we covered a lot of ground on this show. Jack Eichel. He's got his issues with his injury and the Sabres not wanting to give him the proper tools to help fix him, and he wants to be traded, and his agent's putting out letters, and the NHL's responding. What are your thoughts on this mess?
Yeah, he needs to get traded. I think it's inevitable. He obviously doesn't like the. I would say he doesn't like the organization. He might love the fans. He might love some of the
Yeah, the
team.
fans didn't do anything.
Exactly.
Buffalo B Town is sweet, man.
Exactly.
Those
He
guys are
probably
jumping into tables, and it's not necessarily just for football. Like the Bills are an elite team, and we're seeing what that fan base can really do when they're good in the playoffs. But like even when they were going like 8-8 or getting smoked by Tom Brady when he was with the Patriots every other week, like I don't know, man.
Yeah, there's nothing to hate about the town. He loves it. He probably loves playing there. He loves playing in front of those fans. It's just the front office and the organization itself. I would not be surprised if he were to tell his buddies like, yeah, I fucking hate these guys. And so he needs to be traded. He needs to be somewhere he's happy. He needs to be somewhere he's comfortable and that he can get what he feels is best for him, aside from playing hockey. And I know you're watching. Boston's a great home for that. Come on over. Second
He
line
played
center.
he played in the beam pot there. There was a lot of things. There was a lot of things that happened that can lead to Jack Eichel playing there. He's from the area. He went to school there, obviously at BU. Gonzo's trying to pick up Joey for a date. I hope Jack Eichel gets the hell out of here.
I think he's giving me shit, Gonzo, because I don't grow hair right here. Are you making fun of my beard? I don't know. There's a second line center spot available, Jack, if you're looking to come play.
10.5 mil though.
10.5 mil. David Krejci not being there freed up 7.
Yeah.
Tuukka Rask not currently signed. That freed up 7. Those two players alone freed up 14 mil. Tuukka Rask is not going to sign for 7. So
no, he probably signed for like 2, maybe.
No, 5.
I don't know about that. An injured aging goalie.
Yeah, it wouldn't be long term. He's still when healthy, one of the best goalies in the world, and
he might sign for whatever cap space they have left. That wouldn't surprise me.
You think $2 million?
That could happen. What did Lundqvist sign with the Capitals?
Tuukka Rask is better than Henrik Lundqvist right now, by far.
No, duh. But I mean, like,
what do you mean, no, duh? He's gonna make money that's worth his skill. He's still like when he comes back from injury.
But it's a risk. That's what I'm getting at. It is a risk. He's having a very serious surgery, and he's going to have gone. I'm not a math guy. How many months without playing?
I don't think much of it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Sure. Hope that things get figured out with him. Jack Eichel. We will see what happens. I want to thank Mike Hranica for coming on our show. It was a top level interview in terms of hockey analysis and discussion. He's one of my all-time favorite musicians. His band is unbelievable. I love The Devil Wears Prada, man.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say it was kind of an honor to meet him. Like we've looked up to him and listened to his music for over a decade now, and for him to just come on and take an hour out of his day and talk hockey with us was probably one of the coolest things you can do. So huge thank you to him for coming on.
Absolutely. And I'd like to encourage everyone to tune in tomorrow to Crosstown Crosstalk, where me and Joey will have a very special interview with Cubs prospect Cole Franklin. I'm very excited to interview the Cubs number 9 prospect, just get his thoughts on everything that went down with the Cubs over the last week or so, his projection and what he thinks he might be able to do at a Major League Baseball level. The White Sox are in first place by 9.5 games. We're going to be talking about the best team in Chicago sports by far, second to none. I'm looking forward to it all. South Burbs Hitman, we just had a great show this past Monday with James Fagan of The Athletic. Very good interview there. Make sure you're checking out all the stuff. The Bulls 101, guys. They have a bunch of stuff to talk about. DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, and Alex Caruso coming to the Bulls. That's going to be sweet, joining up with Vucevic and Levine. The Bulls are going to be sweet. They drafted Ayo Dosunmu from Illinois. I'm a huge Illinois basketball fan, so I'm pretty pumped about that. The Barroom Network, man. Oh, Bears training camp. Justin Fields throwing dimes, people cheering him. Andy Dalton cracking jokes about still being the starter. Like, he's probably going to be the starter, but cracking jokes during training camp about the whole thing, knowing that people are out there chanting Justin, just all the sports right now, man. There's so much going on. You got us, Crosstown or Bar Down Blackhawk Talk every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Next week, I'm working on something. We'll see what happens with, a guest, or maybe it'll just be me and Joey talking about off-season hockey stuff. There's plenty to talk about. And is there anything you want to get off your chest before we head on out of here?
Nope. I can't reiterate enough what an honor and how thankful we are to have Mike on the show today. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going back to the gym just so I can blast some Devil Wears Prada while running off my desires.
Yeah, I have not gone to the gym yet today, so maybe I'll go do that.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow at Joey Parisi on Twitter. He needs all the follows he can get. We're trying to grow that Twitter account, man. Let's do it. Follow at Joey Parisi. I'm going to buy a shirt that says it.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again to Mike Hranica. Big honor. So much fun. Go Devils. Go Bruins. Go Blackhawks. Go whoever you cheer for. Unless you cheer for the Rangers, then get out of here. And we will see you tomorrow on Crosstown Crosstalk, 2 p.m. Thank you for listening.